It's Wednesday, and it's lunchtime. You know what that means? Sit back, relax, because it's time for Taking Care of Small Business with Mark Sauter and Samantha Newman on KWRH 92.9 FM radio and simulcast on KXOK 102.9 FM radio. Whether you're looking to buy or sell a business or looking for tips and advice on running your own business, then this is the show for you. Our show is designed to educate you on the ins and outs of small businesses and connect you with guests that will provide you with the advice and services related to your small business. Our show is live on Wednesdays and replayed on Sundays at 11 a.m. on KWRH 92.9 FM and simulcast on KXOK 102.9 FM. To view our past shows, go to suntidesigns.com/radio. And Sunti Designs is SUNTIDESIGNS. Or feel free to go to the KWRH website for further information. You can follow us on LinkedIn or Facebook at the Taking Care of Small Business page. If you're interested in being a guest on our show, which I'm sure you are, please feel free to message us on either page. Alrighty, folks, it's time for our show. Welcome. That's right, folks. It's another beautiful Wednesday out there. Makes up for the rest of the week here. We've got an awesome guest today, Sally Rapp with Rapp Payroll Solutions. But before we learn more about Sally, let's say hello to my co-host, Sami Newman. Sami, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Ready for spring.
There you go. St. Patty's Day is just 48 hours away.
I know.
Looking forward to that. It's like it's like my birthday, better than my birthday.
Is that better than your birthday?
I think it is, but that's,
You celebrate it more than your own birthday?
Oh, yeah. I'll be down in Dogtown.
Good times.
So anyway, you know Sally?
I do. So I've been friends with Sally for a long time, and I'm so excited for her to be on the show today. She is with Rapp Payroll Solutions. They do payroll processing, payroll tax payments, electronic filings of returns, and benefit submissions. They do time and attendance and other HR resources. Now, they have over 25 years of experience to ensure a seamless conversion, and this experience leads to a more consultative approach. Now, they have all these accolades, and we'll get into that a little bit, but she has 8 times been nominated for Best Payroll, Best Service, Best Customer Service from Small Business Monthly. So that's a great achievement. So she's making waves here in St. Louis. So welcome to the show, Sally. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.
That's awesome, Sally. Well, let's get things started off here. It's kind of an interesting story how things started in the first place. You're working. This is working for a corporate bookkeeper back in the 80s, and you're interviewing for payroll companies. And why don't you take the story from there?
So I was interviewing payroll companies, and I probably had 4 of them come in, and the one I chose at that time had been Paychex, and I told them why I chose them. And at that point, it would just happen to be the manager that had come out because the sales rep was off sick that day, and he said, "I am about to lose my number 1 salesperson, and you would be great at this." And I said, "Oh, no. I'm a corporate bookkeeper. I'm not a salesperson." And he said, "You just capulated. You just gave me the best reasons of why you chose to go with us. And that's all you have to do when you're speaking to a business owner." And that was when my mind just totally flipped around on what a salesperson is.
Right.
It's consultative. You just have a conversation, talk about their needs, and say why or how you can help them. And that's how it started. And I literally hit the ground running. My first month, I hit quota and never looked back. It's like breathing for me.
That's awesome. And how long did you spend with them?
I was with them 15 years. I opened up, I started the rollout of 3 of their major markets in addition to the payroll side. And I started a 401k market here. I started their administrative services rollout. I also had the HR. So it gave me wonderful background more than just the bookkeeping side, all of the procedures, all the things you need to document to protect the company. So I was able to see it more from the not just administrative, but the equity side of protection of the assets of a business owner.
Well, you saw the whole thing, how the whole
thing.
system works. It wasn't just selling the payroll. And I'm sure that's been very advantageous in helping you start your business now. It gives you a better handle on how things operate and all that sort of thing. So how has that experience helped you start your own business?
Well, it helped me in understanding all of the needs of a client, but I still had to go through the school of hard knocks on the other side of running a business, which I thought, I know payroll. I've got this.
Right.
Yeah, it is a joke.
So what were some of the hurdles that you realized that were you had to overcome when you first started this business?
One of the things is relying too much on individuals' knowledge that I should have had maybe a more knowledge on the upfront, mostly like technology. I just bled money utilizing all these professionals when I could have had a much more cohesive service that would fulfill all my needs and gave me a better price point. And, mistakes like that, employees, attitude over aptitude. Some of them were just phenomenal at what they did, but their attitude or their voice or connotation on the phone,
Right.
I'm on the other side cringing, thinking, you're aggravating this client, I can tell.
Smile
why
when
you're
you
on the
talk
sales
on the
side.
phone.
Yes, I did. I literally got mirrors, smile,
That's awesome. So how did Rapp Payroll Solutions come to fruition? I mean, it looks like you took a little break from payroll. You got into financial services.
Yes.
And then you maybe talk about that break and then how you decided to start Rapp.
Well, when I had I was selling the 401k.
Okay.
That was another thing that just came secondary to me. I sold over like 500 of 401ks, and the average financial advisor that concentrates on 401k might sell 22 to 23
Oh, wow.
over his career.
Right.
So it was like breathing, and someone said, well, you should look into the investment wholesaling. You can make so much more if you would do that. So, the grass is always greener. So I don't know what I was thinking, because I was selling this from 2005 to 2010. Do I have to tell you what the market was doing then?
Yeah.
No, I was in it. Yeah, I understand.
Stupid as a stupid does. I was like, what were you thinking? So I did that for 5 years.
Uh-huh.
It was the average age was about 34 to 37. I was covering 3 states, constantly moving in, and tell you the truth, I was a couple decades older than them. So I'm like, I think the turkey popper's up. I'm done with this one. So I went back I thought, let's go back to payroll. It's something I enjoyed and I loved it. And then I was interviewing with a couple different companies, and the person across the table from me, I'm asking them questions, and you can almost smell the milk on their breath. You know what I mean? They're just new at it, and they're trying to, give you the old, corporate comment back. And I'm like, I think I'm done with this. I felt customer service and really understanding what you're doing had waned a little.
Right.
So that's what made me decide that I think I want to branch out and start my own.
Instead of you bringing to the table for somebody else, you're
Yes.
like, I'm just going to build a table.
Yes.
So how did that process start? What I guess you're all amped up now. You're ready to go?
Yes. What is unique about our service is that we have 3 different national platforms. So usually when you go to one of the major payroll companies, you're looking at their forms, and this is the service that you're going on. I interview personally each client, because I have a wonderful team, but I have a bigger picture of the whole financial picture because of my experience. So when I interview a client, I delve much deeper in their needs that they're not even aware they might know.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you doing job costing? Why aren't you doing labor distribution? This is costing you money because you're not distributing your hours or your wages correctly. Workman's comp is, you're being charged much more because you're not breaking out administrative as much as you can. And so that is where I get involved, and I review them, and I put them on the platform that is going to be most cost effective for them. So it's not just a show up and this is what you're supposed to be on. This is what are your needs, and then we fit around, that format.
Well, how did you start in the beginning? You had the concept, did you just go at it yourself? You already had contacts, or did you already hire somebody to help you?
Well, to be honest with you, I had been, I started with someone who I had worked with at Paychecks, and I'd rather not mention his name.
No, you don't know. Yeah.
But he got himself into gambling issues, and we were going to be partners. He asked me for 10 years to come be a partner with him. Mm-hmm. I finally agreed to partner with him. And after about 2 years, I realized there was issues. And so I left while the going was good. As my attorney told me, you need to just walk away with your reputation and just go start your own.
Gotcha.
So that's literally what I did. I started interviewing software and seeing what software could I lease and start my own company. And I was lucky to be able to start with a couple really good, experienced employees, and we took it from there.
Gotcha. So you'd already started the path.
Yes.
It got diverted.
Yes.
So then you got back into it on your own. And at that point, you had already had some momentum. So it started taking off.
I learned a very valuable thing with that. Even though I had to walk away from that partnership, my attorney gave me the best advice, and I give it to all small businesses. He said to me, when you're choosing a partner, he said, Sally, would you have married this person? I'm like, no. And he says, you should be able to answer yes, meaning they possess the same qualities.
I agree.
And morals and same vision that you're envisioning for yourself and your company. It was unbelievable advice. I'm like, I missed that for us because the trees were in the way.
Well, it is a marriage, and it's more than a marriage because you're with that person probably more than your partner.
You're right. You are. You spend more time, and you have to have complete trust.
Right.
In a partnership, the financial strings are there. You don't want one person who's a big spender and one isn't. And he was
just like a relationship. You got to have the communication, the same spending values, all that kind of stuff.
Balance.
Yes. Yeah, and he was using it like a kitty, just taking out as he needed it, and it wasn't growing. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. We're bringing in more clients than ever, and we're stagnating in our growth. That makes sense.
Let's talk about that. So now you've branched out on your own, and now you're solely responsible initially for bringing in all the business.
Yes.
What are you doing? Are you knocking on doors?
No.
Are you making phone calls? How are you getting new business?
I never knock on doors, and I never make phone calls. I think that's a waste of time and productivity. That's just for me. I am a big believer of, I belong to BNI. I believe in relationships, developing them, and I call them your tribe. Having people on your tribe that when you say it, your word is golden to your clients or to your family or to your friends. You're saying, I know this person well. I just didn't hear of them. I've many times I've used their services. I try to refer them out. And that is what really helps you, because then that's the golden rule. Do unto others as you want done to you.
Exactly.
They remember you.
Right.
When you do for them, they're going to remember for you as well. And many times you'll do without expecting back. But it's funny, that ripple effect. They might not need you, or they're not going to move, but they'll always turn around and say, I have somebody I want you to talk to.
Well, I think it's so important as a salesperson, we have to realize we're educating people. We're not telling them what to do. Because I always find that fascinating when I start talking to somebody and I tell them, look, I'm just trying to educate you. It's like all of a sudden it takes away the stigma.
The car salesman, right.
Yes.
So instead of just telling them the features of it, tell them the benefits of it. So that makes all the difference in the world. And BNI is a great network. And, me and Sally are in different chapters, but Mike Roman says hi. So that's what kind of a tight-knit community it is, because even though we meet at different times in different parts of town, we all still kind of know each other, and we're all this a bigger extended family or sales force or tribe, and we kind of all have each other's backs a little bit.
And we visit each other's chapters because let's just face it, I'm not going to drive 45 minutes to an hour if I'm living way out in, Arnold to go to North County, or I'm not going to go from Darting Prairie to go to a chiropractor in the city. It's good to have these geographic connections so that you can make people who want to stay in their area, you still have some great resources for them.
So is that the majority of your marketing is through the BNI?
Majority. Not just it is BNI. I'm 100% referred by bankers, by CPAs. I get a lot from bookkeepers, CPAs, brokers, insurance brokers. A lot of people I called on, developed some great relationships. That's it. And my clients are wonderful. Clients refer me so many times, and I love it. I just got 2 this week from a client that said, hey, I got somebody in my office that's branching out. They want to talk to you. So,
right. Why don't you kind of give us an overview of all the service? I mean, you're known for payroll, but there's it's more than just payroll. Why don't you kind of give us a highlight of what those services are, and then what they, or how you provide them?
Oh, we might need a couple shows for this.
well, we can do from 1 to 2,000. I mean, we have a very, very robust software that can handle job costing, labor distribution, multiple unions, union reporting, 9 different benefits. I mean, we have some very complicated clients. We have one-man brokers that are their own individual, little S corps, and they still need to pay their taxes quarterly and still need to file them. In addition to that, we have an excellent time and attendance system. Many times I talk to clients and I try to get them off of writing down your time and submitting it. When you're talking 5 minutes to 10 minutes is the norm of most employees clocking in and clocking out differences of their submission. You add that up by 20, 30 employees and you're paying them how much an hour, it adds up over the whole year.
Right.
Another thing is it's GPS tracked. So some people say they were really there at 9, but they were really still finishing breakfast at Denny's. They're not quite there yet. Clocked in, lunchtime might have taken, it was an hour and a half, not an hour. So it's good to have these down. When you're doing any kind of construction work, we have the ability to put in the location so they can just do a drop down on their phone, clock in, clock out.
Oh, nice. Again,
it's GPS, so the owner or supervisor can look on where really were you when you clocked in and out. Right. But it helps with job costing. It helps with the accounting or controller from having to do spreadsheets and then, trying to tie everything in for billables, et cetera, et cetera. So that helps. Another thing that I've, since I've sold many of these products, workman's comp. Workman's comp is going up for every small company.
Yep.
Every company is going to see an increase. I find it very incredulous that most foremen or supervisors are not doing some paperwork. Some of them are doing proposals. Some of them are doing their submissions of payrolls. How much is that in a week? Is it in an hour? Is it sometimes 5 hours? Is it 10 hours in a week? But it's all lumped under a multiplier of carpenter or as the engineer on the spot of where the operation is versus a 0.49 multiplier versus 4 point whatever. That's thousands in a year that you can save them. But when someone sits down and says, what about payroll? And they start, saying, well, you're a quarter more a check. And I go, yeah, you're probably not the client for us. I'm looking for someone who really wants a partnership with their payroll company, not just depositing checks, which is very important, but more importantly, that will be watching their back, giving them suggestions. I reached out to every one of my clients to make sure they took care of the earned tax credits. I made sure that every one of them got their forms in. I kept beating them up. You got to get in. Your cutoff date's coming up. That's carrying more than just fulfilling what you're supposed to be doing.
So earlier we were talking, and you mentioned something about a 2% discount for Missouri state tax for certain qualified persons. Can you go over that? Because I think that's the first time I had heard that, and maybe that's something that people would like to know.
So every small business or any business gets a 2% discount for making timely deposits of their taxes. And a lot of companies aren't deducting it as they submit their payroll. If they took out $500 that month, $500 goes in. You're entitled to a 2% discount. And then it goes by the first 5,000, then at 10,000, it's dropping to 1%, 0.5%. A 0.5% discount continues. So that can add up in monies. Another thing to be watching for is unemployment. Everybody's rates went up. Someone has to pay for everybody getting unemployment. So that rate has gone up. With that, I always remind my clients, you go back 5 quarters of employment. So what that means is if somebody only worked for you for 1 year and you let them off, but they had worked for someone else a quarter before they came to work for you, even though you let them go, that falls back to the past company.
Right.
Well, they're busy, so they're just going to be processing all these claims, and they just send that notice to the last employer that employed that person. I said, make sure you do that 5 quarters back, because you will get hit and you will see an increase.
So you're their trusted resource for a lot of this stuff. A lot of this stuff people don't even know about.
They don't. No.
You know, I mean, I know about it because I did it as a business owner, but especially like the workman's comp. I mean, that makes that's a perfect example right there. Mm-hmm. You can save thousands of dollars.
Well, and there's also the misnomer of if someone gives you no notice or you let them go, when do I have to give the check to them? When do I have to mail it out? I'm going to withhold. They still got my keys. No. You cannot do that.
Right.
So I always sit down with my clients on the front end and I say, documentation. If I can ever stress anything, make sure when they come in, if you're going to be given keys or any company assets, it's written down and they sign off on it. And you have to have a note at the bottom that says, upon termination, if these are not being returned, we have caused them to, take this deduction from your check. Oh. And without it, you cannot do it. Even if they sign saying, yes, they have to return it. Even if they don't, you have no recourse if you don't put down that we have the right to take that from your check. So when people will call and say, she was late. I'm going to dock them 2 hours. Was it 2 hours? No, she was 15 minutes late, but it's the 3rd time she's been late. Can't do that. Right, sorry. Right. So it's giving that kind of a suggestion to them and saying, I know we're in employment at will state, but I can sue you at will state. So just remember that.
So you're kind of that resource for all these other HR resources
yes.
as well. Because I used to work in banking and, my boss was in charge of HR and a lot of other different things. I was in the marketing department, and she would get these newsletters every month about different HR issues and stuff. And it seemed like it just changed all the time. Like
it is constantly.
It was always changing. So, unless the business owners are keeping up on that specifically, they could be violating some laws that Absolutely. They don't know that they're violating.
Well, I always tell them if you're second guessing it, make sure that you're getting it in writing or put it in writing, CYA. And I love an email. It's dated, it's timed. They can't be saying, well, it was in the morning. You didn't tell me till afternoon. You got it right there.
If you're just now joining us, you are listening to Taking Care of Small Business with Mark Sauter and Samantha Newman on KWRH 92.9 FM and KXOK 102.9 FM radio. We're here conversing with Sally Rapp from Rapp Payroll Solutions. But before we get back to Sally, it's that time of day it's the You Don't Know What You Don't Know segment of our show. Sponsored by Sauter and Simmer, business and real estate investment specialists. We will support you and guide you through the buying and selling process for your business or real estate investment needs. All right, folks, today we're going to talk a little bit about, I got 7 particular reasons on why you should hire a business broker when you decide to sell your business. And the first one is one of the most important ones is confidentiality. When you do go to market, confidentiality is a key. You don't want your employees or your vendors knowing that you're getting ready to sell your business. So that's one of the strong reasons to hire a broker, because they do that all in a confidentiality manner. The second part is the valuation process. It's always important to understand what your business is worth. And as a business broker, we've got access to records and obviously sales of businesses similar to yours, so we can provide that information. In fact, we have a couple different ways that we can value your business, similar to on the real estate, like the real estate side. We have a broker's opinion, which would just be based off your tax return. And then if you need a certified, you can actually get a CVA, which would be kind of like an appraisal on a house, which would be good for court and all that sort of thing. The first one is free. The second one you would have to pay for. And that's probably better for companies that are in the 2 million and above stage. Then the next reason would be a value proposition. When you go to market, you need to go with a trusted source and know how you're going to structure that business to go to market. One of the things we do is that we provide 7 different websites that we advertise on. We put a marketing package together that tells the story of that business, so that when we do find a prospective buyer, we're able to share that journey with them. The fourth part is interested buyers. When you do go to sell your business, obviously the only ones you know is your competition. You probably don't want to sell to them because they're not going to give you the price you want. Well, a broker has all kinds of access to different buyers. At our particular location, we have 14 different brokers that all have different buyers that are looking for businesses, as well as the marketing that we go through. So that's how we generate those interested buyers. Then the second part is, or the last, number 5 part is obviously overseeing the process, setting up the meetings, the buyer-seller meetings, qualifying the potential buyers, the due diligence process, making sure that you're giving them just the information they need, not too much. Then we come to the last part, or one of the last parts is the closing, actually getting you through the process, making sure your taxes are cleared, you're buying something that is valid. But the main part, the hardest part, or the biggest reason you want to hire a broker is to maintain objective view. As the business owner, it can be a little personal, and when you have a broker, it takes the empathy out of it, and it allows you to create the conduit between you and the buyer or seller at that point. All right, folks, that's the game plan today to hire a broker. We're going to take a short little break here, and we'll be right back.
Hey, ladies. What if I told you that I could offer you a more personal shopping experience, a generous loyalty program, and the best boutique return policy in town? Would you check it out? Well, Leopard Boutique in Webster Groves does just that. I'm Rachel Sauter, and in 2012, I started Leopard Boutique because I wanted a place with reasonable prices, great customer service, and I wanted to shatter people's perception of what a boutique could be and help women find confidence through a more personal shopping experience. From the beginning, I kept hearing from customers about all of the compliments they were getting in their new clothes and how good it made them feel. It was working. If you're ready for more compliments and a better boutique experience, head to leopardboutique.com now. For more information, call or text Leopard Boutique at 314-961-3220 or shop us online at leopardboutique.com.
Do you need more money in your expense account? Top Trading Partners can help. They are a barter company. They can help you use barter to trade your product or service at cost to get full price and barter credit. Barter credits can be used to save on the expenses you already have. If there is a product or service you need and you are not currently a partner, they make a point to try to grow the barter companies with partners that can help you. Learn more about Top Trading Partners at www.toptradingpartners.com. You can call Stephanie at 1-800-407-7158.
This is Sami Newman from the Taking Care of Small Business radio show, and I am a top trading partner. Using barter in my business has allowed me to save on printing, hotel stays, dental, restaurants, client gifts, donation prizes for organizations that I do fundraising for, and more. It takes more than cents. It saves me dollars. Time to pay the bills. Go to toptradingpartners.com today.
Are you looking for a youth soccer club for your child? Then look no further than River City FC. River City FC is no stranger to the competitive soccer landscape in St. Louis. With 17 boy and girl teams ages 4 to 18 competing in St. Louis and the Midwest Region Leagues, River City FC provides a rigorous training environment with a small club feel. Each team is led by highly respected and licensed coaches that challenge each player while keeping it fun. Want to see your child improve on and off the field while having a great time meeting new friends? Well, River City FC is the place. You can find out more details about this exciting soccer club online at rivercityfc.com. That's rivercityfc.com. Or contact Daniel at rivercityfc.com.
Welcome back. Part 2 of our show. If you're just now joining us, you are listening to Taking Care of Small Business with Mark Sauter and Samantha Newman on KWRH 92.9 FM and KXOK 102.9 FM radio. We're here talking with Sally Rapp from Rapp Payroll Solutions. But before we get back to Sally, it's that time of day for Sassy Sammy's Social Media Moment. Sponsored by Top Trading Partners. Building business one barter at a time. And today's tip is on promoting events on social media. Take it away, Sammy.
All right. So I get a lot of people that call me and say, hey, I have an event going on or a fundraiser, and we're trying to get the word out on social media. Can you help us with that? And the biggest thing I ask is, when is this event? A lot of times people come to me about 2 weeks before the event and say, we don't have enough people signed up. We need to push this. The best thing to do is really be ahead of this and promote at least minimum 8 weeks out. If this is something that you're doing annually, then start getting the message out almost immediately. Once the first one's done, start showing pictures of, how the last event went, spread those pictures out. Here's some more pictures from our gala, from our auction, from our golf tournament, and, kind of just drizzle those and say, hey, and then as you're looking for sponsors, a few months afterwards, say, hey, we're gearing up to do another event. We're looking for sponsors and donations. That way people kind of know that save the date. And then putting that save the date out there. And you can go on different platforms. You can go on Instagram and start putting countdown images out, say, oh, we're only 2 months away now, or we're only 3 weeks out, and just really kind of keeping that bug in people's ears. Or, this is the last day to sign up for the big sponsorship to make sure that you're on everything, just so that they kind of know when it is. That's the biggest thing. And then you have to tell them the why. Why are you doing the event? There's got to be a why, whether it's, a customer appreciation day for a business, or whether you're trying to raise money for a non-for-profit, or, you're just trying to hold a fun event and get people together. There's always a reason to why. So there's kind of like the who, what, when, where, and why. You always want to address all of those questions in social media so that, you're not just putting up a post and then they're looking at it and they're like, it doesn't have a date on it, or it doesn't have a time, or it doesn't have the location. And if it doesn't have all of that stuff, it's fine, but make sure you say save the date, more details to come, so that they know that there's more information to come, so they're coming back to check up. And then, put some teasers out there, as you get new sponsors, throw those out there. If you're doing an auction, you got new prizes, stick some pictures up there. What could they win? Some Blues tickets? You're going to attract the people that like hockey. They're going to be more likely to attend because they want those Blues tickets. And if they're really good Blues tickets and they're front, center ice, then, let people know what those things are so they know whether they want to come to this event or not. If it's got a fun theme, if it's a trivia night and it's all about, the 60s, and you're going to, have somebody come and, dress up and be groovy. So, make sure you're sharing those fun things that really enhance people to be able to come to your events. And then create a hashtag. And then that way, anybody who's going to participate in the event, maybe they can start posting things as well leading up to that. And so there's hashtags so that you can pull some of those images. So you also have those images for later to re-promote it again for the next year. give them a little sneak peek about what's going to happen. If you're going to go do it at a certain banquet room, maybe go when you go to do your spot visit and sign your contract, ask them if you can take just a quick video of just the room and what it looks like. And you could be like, just imagine we'll be here on, September 5th and we're going to be doing this. And, and the DJ is going to be over here and the dance floor is over here, and really kind of hype it up and kind of, paint a picture for them. And then if there's a giveaway, definitely highlight that. And then you want to just, create some cool either animations or, motion graphics or pictures that you can put on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, just so that it kind of gets out, evenly, that it's on all of the platforms. There may be some that you focus on and maybe put, out more often than others, but make sure that there's a little bit of drizzle on everything, because everybody kind of has their own icons on their phones or their own apps or websites saved to their desktops that their go-to social medias, and everybody's is going to be different. There's no one cookie cutter way to say you have to be on Facebook, you have to be on Instagram, you have to be on Twitter. Because the honest truth is everybody's kind of got their own favorite app that they're comfortable with. And you can kind of use demographics to kind of figure out what those people are and where they're at if you're trying to target that. But social media right now is a free platform. Now, that may change at some point, and there might be paid subscriptions to social media in the future. Just kind of things, the little buzz things that I've heard. So while it's free, all you have to do is go out and post it, copy and paste that same information and put it on all of them. Once you got the image or the graphic and the content, then just put it out on all of them. And some of them you can even pre-schedule and just bam, 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 put it out every Friday so that they can see it. Maybe it's got a different graphic or a few different tweaks of the words or a different countdown date, but just go out and promote and push the information as much as possible. And that's my tip of the day.
There you go, Sami. And Sami, if somebody needed help promoting these events on social media, how would they contract your services?
They can pick up this thing called a phone and just call me at 314-223-8822, or they can go to suntedesigns.com, and you can also see some previous episodes of the Taking Care of Small Business show.
And that's Sassy Sammy's Social Media Moment, sponsored by Top Trading Partners. Building business one barter at a time. All righty, folks, we're back with our guest, Sally Rapp with Rapp Payroll Solutions. And Sally, there's the 20-80 rule. 20% of the people bring you 80% of the business. Is there a particular market that you guys have become adaptive to, or you can provide more services?
We do extremely well with restaurants.
Okay.
Because restaurants have a lot of questions as far as tips, non-tips, declaring tips, hours. They also have a tendency to be missing a lot of things. So a lot of people don't like doing restaurant payrolls, but we enjoy it. We do it well, and we utilize all of the restaurants and clients that we have. And I think that in the upcoming next 2 years, there's going to be a big change. I believe the president had said about the declaring of cash tips, which is going to impact the taxability of those wages as well. So, yeah, I think we're going to see that develop.
So what are some of the challenges that you see that restaurant owners have currently in their payroll when you're taking over their accounts?
Accurate keeping records of how much cash is really being given to their employee and not. Also, the dilemma, especially starting out, of paying out the tips every night. They'd like to, but think about it. Most clients or customers are using charge cards. Where are you going to get the cash?
Right.
And I would suggest to most of my clients, my words of wisdom to everyone is do not just have a bookkeeper that cannot do your taxes, your tax returns. A lot of them might have a bookkeeper and they'll find someone to do a tax return. I can't believe they'll even go to H&R Block. I tell them your CPA is worth their weight in gold. What you will be paying them in fees, they know tax write-offs, how to help you next year structure it so you're not bleeding as a small business owner taxes yourself. And I cannot say that enough. And I'm shocked at the number of clients I bring on that when I ask them, who's your CPA, they don't have one.
Yeah, it is amazing. You're right. The accountant is worth his weight in gold. I remember when I was doing the real estate. I mean, it was a lot of money to pay him, but he saved me a lot of money.
Yes, it's ROI on everything.
Right.
It takes money to make money.
Right.
We've heard that a million times, but it's true.
Well, it's just like you're hiring your services. There's things today I learned about payroll that I was unaware of, like the work, paying attention to that workman's comp number and that sort of thing. Do you provide, when you hire somebody or put somebody on give them their services, is it just the payroll services, or do you provide the whole thing, or how does that work?
We can do the whole thing. We have a bundled software, which is unique. It's not like one software feeding into another software. It's all cohesive, which means our clients have to log in one time and they just go to whatever link that they want to. If they want to look at how many hours everybody's worked up to now, how close are we getting to overtime, it's right there. HR is in another area. Submission, we do onboarding. New employees, all you need is their email address and their name, and it'll go straight out and they can fill it out. Welcome to this company, and it fills everything out, all the tax forms, eligibility. We have it already coded in the system. We'll know if there's a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day wait for benefits. As soon as it becomes available, they don't have to track it. It immediately sets it up in payroll and it's activated.
I've worked for different people that, they've done it differently. They paid weekly or biweekly or twice a month or monthly. Now, is that strategic? Does that help them save money if they're not doing checks every week?
Not necessarily. It's the same cost. It's going to break down to the same cost of salary or hourly wage and hours worked. Again, it always goes back, and I say this to my clients when they say, what do you suggest? I don't. I'm here to ask you questions, and you tell me, what is your cash flow? The last thing you want to do is bounce with the IRS,
especially
or with
an employee.
And an employee. Nothing says I have a problem with who I'm working with than bouncing their check.
Right.
So it depends on how often they have the funds available.
Speaking of bouncy checks, that's the bad thing. What about the good things? I mean, it's, we do these businesses because it's the feel good moments. And do you have a feel good moment that you can share with us?
Yes, I have a really good feel good moment. I had a client come to me that they had a language barrier, and they totally misunderstood. They had been on a tax filing service for some time. They left the country and forgot. They thought monies were going to be transferred. They weren't. The minute they came in, they wired the monies in, but they were not put back on the tax filing service. So they kept getting the notices of the taxes, but they thought they were being paid, and they were just notifying of what their liabilities were. They were still supposed to submit them. Yes. So it took me literally 40 hours to go back a year and a half and help them with letters of abatement to the IRS, to the state, asking and pleading them that you can see that for 2.5 years they were flawless. They're with the service. It's the same service. You can see why there was a disconnect. It was a language issue, and we're asking you to give special consideration. And then in speaking to me and preparing the paperwork for this request, they asked for financials and everything. It's a lot of work to get this done. I also noticed that they were being gouged on rates of loans for their businesses and things of that sort. So I called a couple bankers that I knew and asked them to come in and see what they could do to help them. And they brought them from a Guido rate of 27%, if you can believe this. And we're talking making $2,000 to $4,000 a week payments. And yes, it was unbelievable. And so I got them down to a 6.75.
Wow.
I didn't. The banker came in.
Right.
And it's just going that extra mile. And they're still, we have a wonderful relationship. I'm there for them. We're still trying to get some things abated because they're behind the government in processing, but at least we were able to make them qualify for their earned tax credits, which they would not have been. They were still able to get assistance in other areas. So that was a feel good, knowing
that's
that
awesome.
that this was good, hardworking, successful business, and they were about to lose it through seizure.
Right. And you went above and beyond the Call of Duty, which is even better, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you got a client for life there.
Yeah, difference. That's thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a little chunk of change. That's a big difference.
It was well over 100,000.
Wow.
It is aggravating to see people getting taken advantage of like that.
It was.
It's ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
I agree.
Well, speaking of that, how about some words of wisdom that you would part onto your younger self that over this journey? I'm sure there's boulders you'd like to avoid or that sort of thing. Is there something you can part on our guests? On our audience? Yes.
Make sure that up front that you reach out to another like industry. It's amazing that we think if we reach out to someone similar to us, they're not going to want to share with you.
Right.
Go with another payroll company, knock on their door and say, hey, I am going to start a business or whatever industry you're going into. Find someone else that's in that industry that you have a good rapport on. And a CPA said it perfectly to me when I came in and wanted him to work with Rapp Payroll, and I knew he had a relationship with another payroll company. And I said, not everyone can be the go-to for every client. They can sour for whatever reason, even if you've done everything right, and maybe it's just one thing that they're holding against you, and they're going to want another alternative. I want to be that alternative. And he said, Sally, St. Louis is a big enough dog that there's enough room for all these fleas. And he's right. You can put,
I like that line.
There's enough room for all of us.
Right.
When we put our elbows to the side is when we lose those possibilities and those opportunities.
I agree with you.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I've always been big on collaborating.
Absolutely.
We're not all competition. Sometimes it's just like a sibling.
And I've referred to PEOs. I'm like, you have a problem. I really think it would be best if you could get with an employee leasing company where they pay all of your benefits and workman's comp, and they absorb you as like one huge corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And if you cannot negotiate to get rates down and it's going to break you, you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
And I said, I can't do that for you, but I do know a company that can. And that's that Miracle on 34th Street. We don't have it, but he's down the street sending someone to another store. Isn't that something?
Right.
And you mentioned you were helping your clients, get those employee credits. Now, how else did COVID affect your business?
We were just besieged with calls. All of our clients were in a panic zone. Every one of them. Their doors were closed.
Right.
They're calling what to do, ideas, how to pay my employees, how much can I pay them? Can I just keep them going at this rate? They just had a million questions. I would say we were at our busiest because we still had some that weren't affected,
right,
that we were working on. And when I say our phone did not stop from morning to evening through, it was just a very hard time for all of them.
Oh, I can imagine it. You were probably really big. You're trying to do your own work, and then you're trying to learn this new market that's coming down with I'm sure you were heavily involved in the PPP.
Yeah.
PPP
loans.
Right,
yes.
right.
They all needed their records, their forms. A lot of them needed help just filling out the form. Banks. Some of our larger banks were not being responsive. I'm sure because they have such a larger base that they also have to service. But then I would be trying to find bankers that in the last hour would come in and help them get that loan. And the day of, the very cutoff day. Some of them were processing and trying to get that approved for my clients, and they did it. And they appreciate that you're like, let me see who I can get to help you. Rather than say, oh, you missed it, I'm sorry.
Right.
So
what's in store for the future for Rapp Payroll?
What's in store for the future is I personally am wanting to get more consultative.
Okay.
I do have a lot of hands-on in the operations. I have an operations manager and other supporting staff. But Kim, my operations person, I'm hoping she's been groomed for She's 3 years now, and I'm ready to pass the baton, and hopefully, she'll take over, and I will still be involved, but not as much as I've been doing on the operation side. And she's extremely organized. She was the purchasing person on a big ship during her tenure in the Navy, and I cannot speak highly enough more about Kim. She's remarkable.
Give you time to get out and sell more.
Absolutely. Thank you. Remember, I'm not a salesperson, but I guess I am.
You're a consultant, you said. But you are a salesperson.
Right.
Soft sell.
Yes.
What words of wisdom would you have given yourself when you were starting this endeavor, breaking out onto your own? What would you have told yourself to do differently?
I would have sought the help of a CPA faster. I should have sought the help of the CPA as I was going through the processes of overpaying. But I thought that's what I have to pay for all of these services. And then I really needed, truly, not a business broker, but a business coach. Thank you. Yeah. I use a business coach now, and it's made a pivotal turning point in my business. We
get that answer quite a bit on this show.
Exactly.
That's probably 50% of the time. That's the answer.
Why don't you talk about that journey? What made you finally decide to get a coach, and how did you pick a coach?
Well, I could see
you
can see your P&L. That's your first clue.
Right.
And you're bleeding money. It's like, why am I working more than I've ever worked in my life and making less? Something's wrong. There's a disconnect here. And the business coach, he's the one that said to me, you need to get someone of a higher caliber in here to run more of the business, pay a little bit more, get them in, and you do what you do best. And that's something that I tell every client now, ROI, everything. If you're more effective in most cases you know your business, you should be out developing your business. It's the same reason working mothers now have people come in and clean their homes. It's the time that you want to give your children on the weekends. Right. You don't want to you can't be the end all of everything. And that was a hard lesson because we want to believe, I can do that. I can do it. Well, sure you can, but are you doing it as effectively as you should? And that took a little bit of, I guess, ego to pull back and say, you know what? You just can't do it all. Reach out and ask for help. And if you have to borrow money to get the better quality people in, do it. It's worth it.
Oh, I think that's one of our jobs as an entrepreneur is realizing what your strengths are and using those and realizing what other people's strengths are to fill in for what you don't have. And I think that's what makes for a successful business person.
Delegating.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the hardest thing I had to learn is delegating. But it goes back to the marriage thing, trusting people. You have to trust people. Building that loyalty and that trust.
Yeah, if you have those systems in place, then you're more likely to trust them. You almost have to have a process just to, for employee training, just like anything else, just so that you know that they've got all the information, and then you can trust that they follow that information and follow the process.
There is, I don't believe businesses put enough emphasis on the front end. I call it the foundation of the house, the foundation of your employee. It's 90 days. And when they walk in, you should have a written expectation for them to say the first, couple weeks, you're going to be this, second weeks after that, and you go through it. And by 90 days, you're going to keep them or get rid of them, because after you keep an employee 91 on the 91st day, when you go into that next quarter, if you let them go after that, it affects unemployment again. Where if you let them go in the first 90 days, it is never a hit against your unemployment if they get unemployment.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's important. And it's also good that if in a downswing, like when we had COVID and you couldn't give an increase, when you go through the processes, when you sit down, it is worth its weight in gold to still have a review. You're thinking, you're chagrined, I can't give an increase. Why would I have a review? Because it lets them know how valued they are.
Yeah.
Is there anything we should know? Maybe they feel they'll be goody two shoes or look like they're sucking up to you if they're coming in with all these suggestions. Is there anything, you're doing so well in this area? Is there anything you feel I should know? that we should maybe be looking at to do differently, or we could be helping you with. And when it's all said and done, you can say eventually, when this is turning around, you will be seeing the rewards that we want to give you.
I think you're right. It's so important to communicate it at all times, whether the business is doing well or not. I mean,
Yes.
you have to involve these people are a part of your business. They are why you grow. And when they realize that you're giving them more responsibility and that you're going to be loyal to them, they're going to grow without you even asking.
And on payday, when you give them a check,
Right.
how many people say thank you? Hand it to your employee and say thank you.
Right.
Thank you for that week or that pay period. I mean, and it just makes them feel good. You valued them. A millennial would rather have a thank you and you appreciate the work they're doing than to give them an increase and them feel as if they're invisible to you, that they
Right.
have no impact on your business. They will leave much sooner over that than not making enough money.
I agree.
So if somebody likes what they've heard, or they have questions, or they would like to talk to you about possibly switching their payroll service, or maybe starting one because maybe it's a solopreneur that's not paying themselves, how would they get a hold of you? What's the best way?
They can call me at 314-853-8800. That's our office, or my cell directly is 314-504-6789. Or you can also email me at Sally@Rapp, RAPP-PS.com.
All righty, Sally. Well, it's been a pleasure working with you today, and we really appreciate you telling us about your journey. But I think there's one last thing you want to highlight before we go. There's an organization you work with, the nonprofit. Maybe you'd like to talk a little bit about that before we head out here.
I appreciate it. I started a non-for-profit called Broken Wings of America, and Broken Wings was started to bring understanding of how wide trafficking is here in America and how prevalent it is. And we're trying to orchestrate a walk that will help raise funds so that we can support the services that are in our area. And also we would like to see enough funds build so that we can make a software where we can have like an association of these services that they can all belong to, and see who has available shelters, who has resources, because it's all kept in such secret that there's services here in St. Louis that don't even know that there's
exist,
another
right.
one existing right down the road from them.
So if somebody wanted to get involved, how would they go about doing that?
They can go to brokenwingsofamerica.org to our website, and right there it says to contact us. Our information is right there. And the walk will be October 14th.
October 14th. All right.
There's so much more that we would like to talk to you about this. We might have to have you come back before the walk and talk about it a little bit more, because there's a lot going on with human trafficking, especially in this area. So
I would appreciate that.
I'm
very
glad you
much.
have that passion, and we want to hear about it. So we'll have to have you back sometime.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for coming, Sally.
I appreciate it.
All righty, folks. That's our show for this week. We'll see you next week. Same time, same channel. Take care.